spent the money yet. We don't really have to.
Yeah,
We haven't bought money.
May I have your attention, please? We missed last week's meeting, so maybe we better get reacquainted. So, anyway, I'd like to welcome all of you to the April 7th, 2009 meeting of the Board of Supervisors. Would you all rise with me and join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I have one announcement this morning. So item number 23 has been added to our agenda. This is a closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9B1. Conference with legal counsel. It's regarding anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation. We have one case to discuss. Okay. We also want to point out that we had a closed session yesterday regarding the hiring of our Director of Planning Department, and we have nothing significant to report from that meeting. Okay, turning our attention to this morning's agenda, we have the consent calendar, the consent agenda to consider first. The things on the consent agenda generally are non-controversial and can be voted upon with one vote from the board. However, any member of the audience or any board member can pull an item off the agenda, and we'll deliberate on it individually. So at this time, we have items 1 through 8 on the consent agenda. Do I hear any requests for removal of an item?
4 and 6, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we have items 4 and 6 requested by Supervisor Callaway. Anybody else wishing to pull an item off the agenda? Okay, if not, may I have a motion on the balance?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve items 1 through 8, pulling off 4 and 6. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is 5, and with 0 opposing. So could we have an explanation of item number 4?
Yes, please. This is something that we do every year, and recognizing the importance of Alcohol Awareness Month. Oh, we have a new player up front this year.
I'm David Sackman, the Deputy Director of Behavioral Health, and we're requesting that the board make a resolution proclaiming...
Sorry. That's one of our reporters, so please show respect. And she doesn't drink. So.
Mr. Russ,
that was the Fifth Estate in action.
Mr. Russ, that was very disrespectful, but it was very funny. Okay, could you identify yourself again, please?
We'd like to request that the board make a resolution proclaiming April as Alcohol Awareness Month. And I'd like to introduce one of my counselors, Brian Wilson, who is going to make a short speech and introduce some speakers.
Excuse me, sir, I didn't note your name.
David Sackman.
David Sackman. Okay, thank you, David.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Bryant Wilson, and I'm a counselor at Behavioral Health Services Substance Abuse Program. The reason we are here today is to ask you to proclaim the month of April as Alcohol Awareness Month in Calaveras County. Here are some surprising facts about alcohol use. The alcohol beverage industry relies on heavy and addicted drinking for the largest share of its profits. Hazardous drinking, 5 or more drinks in one sitting, account for more than half of the industry's $155 billion market and more than 75% of its beer industry market. Underage alcohol use is more likely to kill young people than illegal drugs use combined, and more than 1,700 college students in the U.S. are killed each year. and about 5 people a day as a result of alcohol-related injuries. Nearly 14 million Americans, 1 in every 13 adults, abuse alcohol or are alcoholic. Less than 25% of those ever reach into treatment. Health risks of drinking include cancer of the liver, esophagus, throat, and larynx, as well as liver cirrhosis, immune system problems, brain damage, and heart problems. Birth defects like fetal alcohol syndrome and fetal alcohol effect are completely preventable. Drunk driving accounts for about 16,000 deaths per year, and 1/4 of all emergency room admissions, 1/3 of all suicides, and 1/2 of all homicides and incidents of domestic violence are alcohol-related. This month, we want to highlight the accessibility to treatment in Calaveras County. People can call 754-6555 and can speak to a counselor about screening for alcohol abuse, or they could go to www.alcoholscreening, that's one word, .org, for a free self-evaluation. On Monday, April the 20th, from 12 to 2, Behavioral Health Services, Substance Abuse, and the Perinatal Program will be holding a graduation and potluck ceremony celebrating recovery. I hope you all could attend. At this time, I would like to introduce Maggie and Gretchen from our Perinatal Program to share their experience, strength, and hope with you. And thanks again for this great opportunity, because we do know that treatment saves lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Good morning. My name is Gretchen Wilson, and I'm in the Perinatal Program for Behavioral Health. Recovery is defined as a regaining of something lost. And with addiction, what I lost was myself. Through the program, I've learned to find myself. I've learned so much. I've been examining values, honesty, and trust, tolerance and responsibility, and now I can live by them. I've learned to prioritize being a good mother to my daughter Claire, taking good care of myself physically and mentally, and now I won't compromise those. I've also been setting goals. I need to return to college and finish my bachelor's degree. I want a career that I enjoy, and I want to be self-supporting. Recovery is also a return to consciousness, health, to regaining a balance and control. Before I did the program, I had no job, no money. I had no motivation. I was in a codependent relationship, and I'd never really been self-supporting. Now that I've had treatment, I have a job. I have a little bit of money. I have a home, a bank account. I pay my own bills and my rent. I'm no longer in an unhealthy relationship, and in the fall, I'm returning to school. I now have a clear head to make better choices for myself and for my daughter. To recover is to get better, and whether it's from a cold or from surgery or from addiction, I'm getting better, and I think the program is really important, and Alcohol Awareness Month in April will highlight that. As of today, I have 1 year, I have 2 months, 3 weeks, and 4 days in recovery. Thank you.
Congratulations, Gretchen.
Hello, I'm Maggie Dillingham. I'm 19 years old, and I'm also in recovery from alcohol. And I don't have a whole lot to say. It's a tough act to follow, but I think that it's definitely important that people are aware that it's a big issue. And I guess that's all I really got. So, thank you.
Thank you for coming, Maggie.
So I guess we hope the board will pass the resolution.
So move the resolution.
Second.
Our pleasure.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approving the resolution. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the resolution passes. Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Brian.
Brian.
Okay, we have the second item that was pulled, item number 6.
Child Abuse Prevention Month. this one's most timely.
Yes, it is. My name is Robin Bunch. I am the chair of the Prevent Child Abuse Council, Calaveras, and I know the supervisors were given a copy of a proposed resolution recognizing April as Child Abuse Prevention Month. The Prevent Child Abuse Council, Calaveras, and its community partners are working to prevent child abuse. We are also providing families support and education to help them raise their children in a safe and nurturing environment. We are doing this because in California there is a report of child abuse every minute of the day. We do it because during periods of economic downturn, families are much more vulnerable and the incidence of abuse increases across all segments of society. We do it because we believe all members of a community have the responsibility and a role to play in ensuring that our children are safe, healthy, and nurtured. In Calaveras County, we are fortunate to have numerous committed parents, community volunteers, professionals, agencies, and policymakers who are working together to eliminate child abuse from our community and give our children hope, security, and safety. Now I'd like to introduce Robin Davis. She is the coordinator for Prevent Child Abuse Council Calaveras, and she's going to share some of the activities that are being done in our community to support our family.
Good morning. Thank you for giving us some time to talk about statistics as well as what we're doing to prevent child abuse. The Prevent Child Abuse Council Calaveras is committed to protecting children from all forms of abuse. Physical, sexual, emotional, and neglect. And we do this by providing families in the community with the knowledge, education, resources, and supports to care for their children. Child abuse affects children of every age, race, and income level. It usually happens in the home by someone that they know well and that they trust, a parent or a caregiver or a babysitter or a family friend. And as Robin mentioned, in times when the economy worsens, stress increases and so does abuse. In March, the nation saw a 5% increase in child abuse statistics. In your packet, I've given you some statistics for 2008, and just a brief overview, Children's Protective Services received 977 reports involving 1,293 children. And over 60% of those reports were for neglect. So neglect is the failure to provide the basic needs for children, of food, of housing, clothing. It could be supervision or getting your child to school or getting them medical care. This was followed by physical abuse, sexual abuse, and emotional abuse, which are all closely linked. And child abuse happens in our county at all ages. However, 0 to 5 are at a higher risk. And you can see that there was no community in our county that was spared. The Prevent Child Abuse Council with First 5 Calaveras has a new approach to prevention, and it's one that is being used across the country. It's a research-based model that supports all families. It says that if you support all families that might not be at risk now, but who are experiencing the stressors that can lead to abuse or neglect, and that's our approach. In your packet, I've given you this flyer, and this is something that we're trying to get in the hands of all parents in the whole county. There are various activities and workshops with partners that we have going on, as well as a parent conference, our first one coming up May 2nd. And these support the projects with state prevention funding, and all these partners are using this approach. This approach says that when families are given these supports, the likelihood of abuse diminishes. And these are resiliency, so the ability for families to cope with these stresses, strengthen their bond with their children, give them a greater knowledge of child development and positive discipline, increase their social connections, which will decrease the social isolation and provide a longer term of support, and also increase their concrete supports, which are really giving families access to basic needs, so those things that cause neglect. And one of our goals is to continue to create a broad-based collaborative effort, because we see that providing families with these skills, engaging the community in issues of child abuse really is a broad-based effort. And I'd like to introduce Mikey Habestad. She's a council member and the services program manager for CalWORKS and Human Services Agency. Thanks.
Good morning. 3 years ago, our agency had the opportunity to apply for and receive federal funding, which was passed through the State Department of Social Services Office of Child Abuse Prevention, to convene a citizens review panel here in Calaveras County. The citizen review panel was tasked with choosing at least one area in child welfare that was in need of improvement and coming up with some, maybe thinking outside of the box recommendations that we could implement that would hopefully improve in that area. Our agency chose to use the Prevent Child Abuse Council as the citizen review panel, because the folks that were really needed on this panel we had already on our Prevent Child Abuse Council. So they chose to focus on foster care reentry, because at the time our statistics were pretty deplorable in that area. This is the children who were removed from their parents and were successfully reunified with their parents, and then within 12 months, something happens and they're removed from their parents and back in foster care. We were up to almost 22% of our children were placed back in foster care after having been removed once. So I'm pleased that the council chose that, and I'm pleased to announce that in the 2 years that the council has been working in this area in partnership with our agency, we've reduced that statistic to 9.4%, which is below the federal threshold. So, still tragic for that 9.4%. We know we can continue to improve, so we'll do that certainly. But it is also my pleasure to introduce you to Bear Marler. He is the Bikers Against Child Abuse Organization's state president and Motherlode chapter member.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As stated, my name is Bear Marler. I am the state president of Bikers Against Child Abuse, California, also known as BACA. We're an international organization that fights against child abuse, and we're advocates for the child. We have over 140 chapters throughout the United States. We have chapters in Australia, as well as we're starting on chapters in England, Germany, and throughout the world. Our main concern is the protection of children. And since I didn't write anything down, I'm going to read from our brochure for you. It says, a wounded child who has BACA intervention is 4 times more likely to disclose their abuse. We have observed the following behaviors in our children: improved self-confidence, empowerment to testify, better communication, reduced feelings of guilt, decreased acting out behaviors, a sense of belonging and acceptance, independence, and much, much more. This means a lot to us. People look at us the way we dress, and they don't usually see what we do. They have, a whole different stereotype of what we do. Children, like I said, are very important to us. We go to court with them, and we stand by them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The children can call us when we adopt them, not righteously adopt them, but when we make them part of our family, and we're with them constantly through court, and even when their court cases are done or anything else. We remain with them until they tell us they don't need us anymore. And I thank you. I'm really nervous. I've never spoken in front of you. And if I could, I'd like to ask for a vote.
That's
Because
easy.
I was told to ask for that.
So it's time.
Mr. Chair, under that direction, I'll make the motion.
Second.
We certainly wouldn't want to offend. Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And are there any noes? There are no noes. So
Are you kidding?
Thank you.
would anybody dare? Hey, Bear, I'm inclined to ask, would I be eligible for adoption? So we have a hearing coming up next week that I think I could probably use some support.
We'll work on it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that concludes our consent agenda. I'm really very pleased to see these young folks out here with all these green four-leaf clovers on. Could we have an explanation about what we're doing here this morning?
Hi, my name's Alexandra Mueller, and I'm a Calaveras County All-Star and the Vice President of the Jenny Lind 4-H Club. And today we came to thank the supervisors for their continued support of the Calaveras County 4-H, and we'd like to present you with some gifts, if that's okay.
Wow. Okay. All right, well, we are on the public comments portion of our agenda this morning, so I'm pleased that we have these young folks with us. Thank you.
A better chair?
Hi, my name is Nicholas Kalika. This is my first year in Murphy's 4-H. I'm 11 years old, attending Michelson Elementary.
And what's your project in 4-H?
I'm doing an automotive project.
Thank you.
These chairs. Thank you. Put it on Form 700.
We'll have to revise our Form 700s. Good morning. How are you?
Good. Hi, my name is Elena Smith. This is my first year in 4-H. I am learning how to control my horse and ride a lot better. When I went to Ag Day, I met a lot of different 4-Hers. One of them even let me hold one of the cutest little bunnies. And guess what? It peed on me. I laughed hysterically. Thank you for all your support.
Thank you, Elaine.
Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Hi, my name is Julia Kalika. I'm a member of the Calaveras Regulars 4-H, and I've been in that for 3 years now, and I'm 13. So, yeah.
What was your name again?
Julia Kalika.
Julia. Okay.
Yeah.
And what school do you go to?
Avery Middle School.
Right on. Thank you. My daughter went to Avery Middle School.
Good morning.
Hello. My name is Kate Smith. I'm with the 4-H Wranglers, and I've been in this for about 2.5 years now. And I've developed communication skills with not only my horse, but better with people as well.
Thank you very much, Kate.
Hello, my name is Caitlin Malinchuk, and this is my 11th year in the Murphy's 4-H. I've done rabbits, sheep. I started the automotive class this year, cooking as well as dogs and sheep. And I'd just like to thank you guys for your support and everything you guys have done.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Kyle Curries. I am 14 years old, and I have been 4-H for 9 years. I have been in many projects. I have raised swine, poultry, rabbits, and horses. This year, I am showing a red Angus steer named Thunder. Please continue supporting 4-H in this county. 4-H has benefited me by teaching me how to raise animals and how to show them. It has also taught me responsibility. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm Jennifer Gerlitz, 4-H Program Coordinator for UC Cooperative Extension in Calaveras County, and I would like to especially thank you for your support of our program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Before you folks leave, I'd like to point out to you that if you would like to see a recording of your appearance here before the board, you can go to the pinetree.net, and probably, John, it'll be up tonight probably, huh? Oh, okay. But I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you coming, and I enjoy seeing your smiling faces and enjoy the work and the program that you're doing. So.
And also, Jennifer, thanks for running a great program. If there are parents... If there are parents out there that haven't got their kid involved in 4-H yet, it's not too late. And this is a program that really builds character, skills, confidence, and articulation. And I do thank you all. Last time you brought bunnies, but I guess I've heard why we're not doing that anymore.
Horses are outside. We like to hopefully thank the leaders that take their time and volunteer to put these programs on this parent. We really
Thank you all for coming. Okay, again, I want to point out that we are at the point on our agenda where we have public comments for anything that's not on the agenda. I am aware that we have a kind of an impacted agenda today, so I'm going to be enforcing the 5-minute rule. So please identify yourself.
Hi. Actually, we have a group of event as well. I'm Marcia Larrabee from the Calaveras Children's Dental Project. We bought a group, so we will try to stay under our 5 minutes apiece. Many of you know about the Calaveras Children's Dental Project, but we have some other exciting stuff to talk to you about. First, I want to introduce the Children's Dental Project. You know myself, you know Lori Perry, the other co-director. You may not have ever met our advisory dentist, who's been with us for many years, Dr. Joanna Motsu, dentist here in San Andreas. And I'm going to step aside and let Lori give you a little brief overview of what the Children's Dental Project has accomplished, and then we'll want to introduce an exciting program that a whole collaboration has designed. So, may I explain what
Hi, I'm Lori Perry, co-director of the Calaveras Children's Dental Program. We're here to share some information about our dental health in Calaveras County today. And at first I want to acknowledge all my health colleagues that are in the room today. This is a great day for health in Calaveras County. You're receiving an information sheet about the comparison of dental screening data in our county. Marcia and I are the dental hygienists that run a school-based dental program in Calaveras County. This is our 11th year of operation. And basically what we wanted to share with you is what's happening with the prevention portion of the dental program. As you can see on this chart that we gave you, the number of children that we have screened since 2003 has more than doubled. Okay? So we've seen twice as many children as we did at the beginning. The children that we have seen this year that are cavity-free are 50% of the number of children that we screened versus year 2003-04, the number of children we screened that were cavity-free were 38%. Big success. Okay? The number of no obvious decay has improved by 10%. However, the thing that we're concerned about here is the number of children that have visible decay present.
Year 2003-04, we had 28% of our children that we saw that had visible untreated decay. Year 2008-09, 22% of those children have visible untreated decay. That's not a good success. We feel that we have the preventive portion of dental treatment in this county pretty much under control. We can screen and refer. However, as Robin Davis stated about the child abuse prevention program, we need access to basic needs. We need to have somewhere where we can refer these children to so they can get their dental needs taken care of. I'd now like to introduce Nancy Tiffany. She's the director of the Resource Connection Head Start State Preschool Program, and she'd like to share with you an idea for addressing this problem that we have in Calaveras County. Nancy?
Good morning.
Good morning, Nancy.
Good morning. I want to share with you a solution that we've found for the community that we see as a local issue that has been ongoing for a number of years. We've been successful in the preventative portion of children's dental needs significantly over the last several years, but we have not been able to really address the issue of treatment. And so we've identified a children's dental network. The intention of the network is to provide dentists an opportunity to participate by agreeing to a scaled or schedule of fees as opposed to providing services at their normal fees. And once children are identified as needing treatment by the Children's Dental Project, the Resource Connection will provide the administrative piece of it. We'll help match dentists with children who need services, and we'll provide the follow-up of record keeping, et cetera, to make sure that children are getting the care that they need at a reasonable rate. These primarily are children without dental coverage or children who are underinsured and not able to get the care that they need. So we're embarking on this process as a result of support from the Resource Connection from First Five, and we've received a small grant from United Way to help us with this. We've had a lot of support in the community, and we're asking for your support as we go forward with this, and support for the dentists and the community to participate in this project. And Karen Pekarsik is going to share some. I'm sorry. Oh, Dr. Clayton. Excuse me.
Good morning. I have statistics I'm not going to bore you with. I just want to say I'm not a dentist. I'm a medical doctor. But medicine is understanding more and more about the importance of oral health, especially in children. If children don't start off with good oral health, that translates into health problems later in life and can increase their risk of other health problems as they grow and age into adulthood. And it also impacts their readiness for learning. So this is an issue where children need to have good oral health in order to have good school readiness and be ready to learn. So I just want to give you let you know about the support of the medical community for something like this, and the problem of getting local dentists to see some of these low-income children is a very acute problem in our community. And this project, I think, is going to go a long way in addressing that.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. I'm Karen Pekarsik, Director for First Five Calaveras. As was mentioned, we were really proud to support the Children's Dental Project to provide prevention treatment, early screening, and fluoride varnishes to children birth to 5 throughout the county. That's virtually the only dental service for children that young, despite the fact that all of the dental education information says get to children before they have teeth. We have very limited resources to do that in this county. But the Children's Dental Project's been enormously effective on the prevention arena. We're excited about the opportunity to help kick off this Children's Dental Network. Our public systems have done about what they can with the funding that they have, and that's diminishing. There's an article in today's Stockton Record about the decrease in Denti-Cal funding for adults in the state, and it's just a matter of time before that starts to impact our children more directly. when you combine the decreasing state assistance with the extremely limited access to dentists in this area and the affordability that most parents can cover, dental care and dental treatment for children becomes a real critical issue. It's the biggest reason for absence from school as children get older, and we know, as Dr. Kaleda said, that early prevention can stop some real important lifelong health issues. And I recently heard, and I wish I knew exactly where it was, but I heard a statistic that said among Health and Human Services that in the social services departments, one of the biggest expenses that they're beginning to cover is dental treatment for adults. There are a lot of reasons for that, but we're hoping that the prevention and early treatment for children can limit those long-term impacts that we're going to have on a social service level. So you'll see a kickoff meeting being announced for introducing the network to the public. Our hope is that we're able to enlist from the public donations to the network so that we can actually pay dentists for the good work that they're doing on behalf of our kids. At this time, I'd like to ask Joanna Motsu to come up because we'd really like to acknowledge her. She's been a leader in the community with regard to children's dental support. She's helped us with writing grants, and she's just been a real asset to us in trying to structure this network and the Children's Dental Project in a way that's effective for kids and families and dentists.
We have a certificate of appreciation to give you, but before we present that, a couple of words. As has been described, it makes a big difference when kids get off to a good start in all ways. In Calaveras County, because of the Children's Dental Project, we've actually, by the statistics that take a look at children's well-being county by county, we score very high on the dental aspect. So that's in large measure because of a very small number of people who stepped up and really got on the job. You can't go to any school in Calaveras without finding evidence of this program as its mobile unit travels place to place. But the follow-up, once we identify a problem, the follow-up is completely dependent on people like the person we're about to honor. Joanna has made a huge difference and stepped up. It's interesting that, even lawyers actually do some pro bono work, but that has not really gotten into the medical field as much. But here in Calaveras County, there are dentists that have set aside sometimes personal interest to do a great service to people who can't afford dentistry, who aren't covered by it. Those kids who aren't getting covered often wind up missing school, having a tremendous problem, as was said by Dr. Kaleda, in learning and being ready to learn, and that has costs that are way beyond the small amount it would take for us to donate to this program for dentists that are not yet involved to step up and play a role as the person we're about to honor has. So, Joanna, there's two of us. We actually had to argue about this and compromise. You come from District 1, so Gary's here, and I'm with First 5, so we're both going to.
Joanna had no idea we were doing this to her. So.
And the truth is, she wouldn't have come if she had known.
Thank you very much.
We have bushwhacked you, but this is awarded to Joanna Motsu for compassionate support of young children's early dental health and participation in the Children's Dental Network.
Very honored.
Well, congratulations. We're honored.
Thank you for giving us this time to present this to you, and we'll look for your support as we introduce this Children's Dental Network into your districts. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning, board members. As I was standing I was remembering that back in the 1960s, you didn't hear that too much, I was in the first 4-H club back in San Andreas when it was formed, and it is a great program. That's not why I'm here today, but Friday, April 10th is Good Friday, but it's also another day for the tax collector's office, and it is the due date for the second installment of property taxes. So I am here semi-annually to come and remind people, both in the public and the board and everybody that's listening, to please get your payments in time. They will become delinquent if not paid by 5 p.m. in the office or in the lockbox out in the parking lot. The tax collector's office will, of course, be open until 5 p.m. to accept those payments. Other methods of payments are postmark by the 10th, credit card through Official Payments Corporation, and, of course, I mentioned the lockbox in the parking lot. But it needs to be put in by 5 p.m. tonight. So, questions?
Yes, last time you caught me unawares, and I almost forgot. This time I was ready for you, and I'd like to give you my second installment. This is another method of payment not announced.
I did mine electronically. Did you check to make sure it's the first time?
Yes, I agree that. You bet. I have to...
I have to say, the only perk that the Board of Supervisors gets is Lynn coming and reminding us that our taxes are due. Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Lynn. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Kathy Mazzaferro, and I'm here to speak to you today on behalf of the Friends of the Calaveras County Fair and the Jumping Frog Jubilee. As you know, the Friends are very hard at work at bringing back our sense of history, reconnecting our community, and doing whatever we can to help the fair regain, as Buzz Eagleston so elegantly put it, its luster. Well, one of the things we want to do is not only reconnecting with our history, but also work on our future. And with that, I'm here with an invitation to each member of the board to attend what we call the Coronation Ball on Saturday evening, May 2nd. The Coronation Ball actually harkens back to part of our history because prior to the Miss Calaveras pageant, the Coronation Ball celebrated what was known as the Belle of the Camp. The young lady who sold the most tickets to her ball was crowned the Belle of the Camp until 1956 when it evolved into Miss Calaveras. Well, we decided that the Coronation Ball, bringing it back, would be an elegant way to raise money for the scholarship programs that the Friends wants to help the fair support. Not just the Miss Calaveras pageant, but also Saddle Queen, perhaps scholarships for the Grand Champion Junior Livestock exhibitors, members of the Junior Fair Board who've served for 3 or 4 years continuously volunteering out at the fair. This event is open to the public. It's $25. It'll be catered by the Pickle Patch. All former Miss Calaveras, Belles of the Camp, and Saddle Queens have been invited as our guests because, as some of you know, I've been working on that database for 6 years. So they've all been invited back, and many of them are traveling from as far as Missouri, Washington, D.C., to come home for what we hope will be an annual event. We hope to see all of you there, of course. However, we know your schedules get a little bit impacted. So if you cannot attend, there's also an opportunity to be a sponsor for a table, and it's only $10. Because in these tough economic times, we realized that this is not the time to put on a huge, expensive bash. But $10 will sponsor an elegant table, and there will be a table card with, hopefully, your name, thanking you as a table sponsor as we move forward to raise money for the scholarship programs and reconnect the history and the future of the Calaveras County Fair and the Jumping Frog Jubilee. Any questions?
Any questions of Kathy?
Thank you. It's nice to see you all, and I hope to see all of you at the Follies. I know I'm going to see at least two of you.
Oh, Kathy. Never mind.
Yes, I'm sorry.
What's Marilyn's last name? Worked for John Brophy. This is a test.
Yeah, it is. Kraus.
Thank you. Thanks, Kathy.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard.
Yeah. Who was that ventriloquist out there?
Anything else? Thank you.
Merrill.
Good morning.
Good morning. Colleen Tracy, Public Health Director. I'm going to ask Dean to join me here. Time goes fast. It's Public Health Week again. It is the first full week of April. We wanted to formally bring to your attention our activities. What we're doing this year is we're highlighting two of our community projects. Public health is an interesting profession because you do so many different things. The two projects are community partnerships that we're highlighting from our tobacco prevention program and our child passenger safety program. I'm going to briefly describe the secondhand smoke and children campaign, and then Dr. Clayton is going to describe the Way to Go As You Grow booster seat campaign out of our child passenger safety program. The materials you have before you, the little booklet, is about our Safe Smoke-Free Play Space for Children campaign. The goal is pretty self-obvious, to protect children from smoke exposure at playgrounds and tot lots where young kids play in parks. The partnership includes students from Bret Harte High School who, working with the tobacco prevention program, actually go into public parks and look for evidence, pretty straightforward, that smoking is occurring near children's playgrounds. What is the evidence? The evidence is cigarette butts. And they then take this visual evidence, and they worked with, this year, two organizations, two public sector organizations. One was the City of Angels, and the other was the White Pines Park. They request that the City of Angels and White Pines Park have a voluntary policy to restrict smoking and prohibit that around playgrounds. There is, in fact, no safe level of secondhand smoke exposure for a child, and tobacco remains the single most preventable cause of death and illness in the United States. The interventions they seem low-key. They are low-key, but they are extremely effective, the kind of concept of the bang for the buck aspect. The interventions are simply, once they adopt the policy, which both the City Council for the City of Angels did for their public parks with playgrounds, and which the White Pines District recently agreed to adopt as a voluntary policy. The department, through our tobacco prevention program, simply provides signage. Sometimes there's a lot of concern about these policies because they require, quote, enforcement. But no one in today's world would think of asking increasingly scarce public resources to try and monitor and use human resources to enforce. And in fact, the intervention of simply posting a sign is an effective one. Research indicates that most people, if they know that there is a law prohibiting something, will follow it. So the intent of posting the signage is to allow people to be self-enforcing, to give them that visual cue to action that, in fact, smoking is prohibited here, and rely on individuals not to smoke. The other important thing that signage does, something so small and so simple, is that it gives a cue to action to parents. It allows them to have support in the immediate environment for asking people who may be smoking not to. A parent may be reluctant to say to someone, would you please stop smoking because my child is playing here? But they are reinforced by the mere presence of a sign to be able to say, I'm not sure if you were aware, but smoking is not permitted here by the playground. Other secondary benefits to the community is it reduces the amount of tobacco litter that's in parks, etc. So one intervention. Bret Harte High School students have been successful in having the City of Angels Camp in White Pines Park adopt these policies. We are providing signage, which has been posted at the public parks in the City of Angels. The next part is our new public awareness campaign, and the little green booklet you have there is part of that campaign. And that is that students from Bret Harte High School, as well as personnel from the program, are taking this booklet. It's going to be distributed to all of the major child care centers in the county, and we're asking students to take it home, the preschoolers, and have parents read this very simple book that tells kids and their parents that secondhand smoke is not good for kids, and that, again, empowers parents to really take a protective action and simply ask someone if they observe the behavior in the park. We also have posters themed around the same as the booklet, and those will be posted in community locations on the Highway 4 corridor. Dean's going to speak now about our way to go, sorry, I got to get that right, Booster Seats, Way to Go While They Grow campaign.
Thank you, Chloe. The second community partnership that the Health Department wants to highlight during Public Health Week is the Booster Seat campaign. And this is a very important issue, especially in our community, because we know that in Calaveras County, we're one of the worst counties every year, statistically, for motor vehicle fatalities in our community. And recently there have been some very tragic motor vehicle deaths in our community, of which I know you're aware. So what we're trying to do with this community partnership is to increase booster seat use in children. Now, you know that kids ride in car seats. Once the kids get to be 4 years old, they should ride in booster seats, and they should do that all the way until they're 8 or 4'9". And so one of the ways that we want to try to address this problem is, first, the Health Department, in a partnership called the Child Safety Coalition, which includes California Highway Patrol, Head Start, Murphy's Fire Department, conducted an observational survey where they went out to several schools and saw that 56% of the kids that should be in booster seats were not. And so one of the goals of this project is to protect those children from deaths or injury from motor vehicle fatalities. So in partnership with Mark Twain Elementary and San Andreas Elementary Schools, and a school-based educational campaign was undertaken in which the children were given information, and a very creative song, was given to them, which you can see it's sung to the tune of The Wheels on the Bus. And it involves how you put on you get in your booster seat and you click it and you get safe, to ride in your car. And also the health education staff from the health department went to the schools and put kids in booster seats and showed them how to use it. We sent information that's in your packet in that orange envelope home with parents about the importance of booster seat use. They were sent that growth chart, which is mark until you're 4'9", and so the parents can watch their children's growth, and it reemphasizes the message of the importance of being in that booster seat until you're 4'9". And they had car checks at the schools subsequent to that. So parents could come after they dropped their kids off and get instruction from certified car seat technicians on how to properly use a booster seat. And the goal is to recheck that observational survey after these interventions and measure the effectiveness of this real good community partnership with kids, parents, teachers, and the partners in our community that are hopefully going to address the problem of increasing motor vehicle fatalities. So that's the second community project that we wanted to highlight during Public Health Week. The second thing that I want to talk about is the community walk. And so today is the annual Public Health Week community walk at 11 o'clock today, where people are going to, and we have over 60 people that are signed up for this already, and people feel free to come. You don't have to be signed up in advance to come. We invite the community, we invite the Board of Supervisors to participate, and people are going to walk from the Government Center to Turner Park, or from the CalWorks building, and again, meeting in Turner Park. So this is a really fun event. Each year, water is going to be provided by Mark Twain St. Joseph's Hospital. Rain or shine, come out and be part of this community effort, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
I just have a question, Mr.
Yes.
I mean, are there going to be free booster seats available like we did with the car seat program?
Yes.
Okay.
Pardon me. In your packet is a...
Measure your height, I think you need a booster seat.
These are our...
I'll just sit straight.
flyers, basically, and we do provide, we request donations, but there's no charge for it. All child passenger seats, including booster seats, and any member of the public can just call the program and make an appointment to have a certified car seat technician do an assessment and replace, fit, and provide appropriate education on how to use the seat. So that continues to be a service.
A donation is asked for, but the cost can be picked up if the parent doesn't have the funds for that.
Thank you.
We also wanted to let you know we have a 14-member team signed up from the Calaveras Enterprise for the community walk today. So it'll be
So I figured you had it on Tuesday, so you knew the board couldn't show up.
They've already proven this morning they've got motor control difficulties, so I would say this is it.
Anyways, thank you for your continued support of the Public Health Department.
Good morning, Ed Ballard with the Sheriff's Department. It's time for the monthly update on the jail project. I've given you all issue 2. I like to be relatively brief on them. All the information is in there, just a couple of key points that'll be coming up hopefully before you guys. On April 21st will be the contract for our architectural firm, and then our contract for Jeffries Engineering for surveying. Art couldn't be here today because he's being recertified for his architectural licensing. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Any questions of Eddie?
Do you have a couple of extras?
Sure. I got some more
40
down here.
extras.
Yeah.
40?
Thank you.
You want them now?
Yeah, Carol, could you just get them from Captain Ballard? Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Krista Thompson, Mental Health Services Act Coordinator for Behavioral Health, and I'm here for your monthly Mental Health Services Act Good News Update. This evening, I'm very pleased to announce that we will be having a public hearing on our technological needs proposal that we will be submitting to the state hopefully tomorrow or the next day. And this includes 3 parts, one of which is our upgrades to our electronic billing system, which will move us towards electronic health records, which is required both by the state and the federal government. The second piece is consumer upgrades, I guess you could say, and these are computers and other electronic gadgets that will assist our consumers along their road to recovery. The number one most requested thing amongst our consumers is computers and internet access. And in order to keep our county's network secure, we are also securing some separate internet access lines for them as well as part of that plan. And also as our department has grown because of the Mental Health Services Act, we will be getting some additional computers for our staff who have been using some rather antiquated computers over the past few years. And we'll be getting some additional equipment such as copiers and faxes to support the growth of our department as part of that plan. Anyone interested in the community or from the county who would like to attend that meeting, that will be at our Mental Health Board meeting this evening at 4 p.m. at 373 West St. Charles at our Behavioral Health Annex, and that's located next to Umpqua Bank and the Pizza Factory in Suite E. So we hope to see anyone there who would like to provide comment or get some additional information on that plan. We will also be welcoming comments on our CSS, Community Services and Supports Plan update for 09 and 10, fiscal year 09-10. So we'd like to welcome the community's comments there as well. Additional good news, we have our prevention and early intervention plan, which the community helped to shape earlier last year, which will fund programs such as the Triple P program, positive parenting program, which will provide community saturation, parenting support, parenting support interventions at a variety of levels throughout the county in each and every district, and there'll be more information on that as we begin to implement that. That's one program, the Grandparents Project, as well as suicide prevention. That plan is up for consent agenda approval at the end of the month at the state, so we're very excited about that. So those are your updates, and any questions?
Any questions? Appears not. Thank you for coming this morning. Do we have the next person wishing to address the board this morning?
Chairman Thomas and members of the board, my name is Robert Leibold. I'm with the Golden Chain Cyclists and the organizer of the Copperopolis bicycle race since 1982. We had 26 years with no permit problems, and the last couple of years I've managed to mess it up in terms of applications. And while I recognize that you as a board cannot take action, I'm just asking for you to do whatever you might be able to, possibly as individuals. Basically, we asked for an application for the permit back in December. I either didn't receive it or managed to misplace it. I do 40 races a year, and there's a lot of paperwork that goes across my desk, and that's probably what happened. But in any case, we have, like I said, we've been doing the race successfully. The event itself, for all 28 years, has been really without any problems at all. It's been the permit issue. I brought, by the way, permit applications all filled out and paid for 2010, 2011, and 2012 right here, so I'll be ahead. So I've learned my lesson in theory. But and I've gone to all the agencies that will be signing off, or would be in a normal process period. The fire districts, ambulance, CHP, all are on board. The various county agencies, each one of them appears to be ready to approve if we
Robert, can you stand by one second, please? We have a rule against having phones ring in this chamber, but I apologize.
That's right. And each of the agencies assures me that it would be possible to do everything by the weekend, and they don't have any difficulty with it. But what I'm trying to ask you is to encourage the interim director of the CDA to, in any possible way, to go ahead and process the permit or whatever. And I'd be happy to carry the thing around each of the agencies too, so there won't be county time that's involved there. Also, I sent a $600 check-in with the original application, which admittedly was late, and then was informed that it's only $100 now, which is interesting, that went down. But I would think that I would be informed of that over the year if there was, and this is an annual event, that there's a difference in the prices, but I'm not sure what the procedures are. In any case, I just like to have, if possible, to get the permit application revisited. We'd really like to do the race this weekend, and it's we've got plenty of riders, including Levi Leipheimer, who's the Tour of California. He's planning to race it, and I can manage to get it canceled and tell everybody with time, but it'd be much better if we could hold the event. I don't know if I can answer any questions, but.
Mr. Leibold, is it Leibold or Leibold? Leibold, okay. How many pre-registrations do you have for this race this year?
About 620, I think.
And you mentioned a name of a particular person who is...
Levi Leipheimer, yeah.
Can you tell us about...
Well, he won the Tour of California, the Amgen Tour of California just several weeks ago. And he has won the Copperopolis race twice in the last 4 years. He's planning to attend, and we have his entry, and
didn't he do fairly well in the Tour de France as well?
I believe so, yes. I'm not sure his exact place, but yes.
I think he got third in the Tour de France. So, and just to reiterate what you said, that this would be the 29th year in a row that you've done this on the same day?
It's always the day before Easter. The day changes, of course, with Easter.
Okay.
We do it on the day before Easter because everybody's so tired after this particular race that they don't want to race another day, and Easter Sunday is a good family day, so that works out well, so we can.
Who possibly would want to ride up Rock Creek Road?
5 times.
5 times.
Well, apparently a lot of people. It's a classic race, famous, it's called the Paris-Roubaix of California, to allude to the really bumpy race in France, because it's like cobblestone sometimes.
Yeah, well, I have mentioned this race a number of times to my colleagues here, and I'm just really sort of devastated that there has been a glitch in the permitting process. And
it's mine. I mean, I'm not blaming the county on it. It's me. There's no question about that.
Okay, well, you're right that we can't make an action at this particular point, but we'll see if there's anything that we can do.
Okay.
Supervisor Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I've had a number of similar issues as we've changed our permitting process, and sometimes organizations that have worked with us for decades have somehow managed to not get one or another right. I would hope that similar to those other matters, that this could be taken care of on an administrative basis, and would urge, if there's any legal way that we can proceed, that we try to accomplish that. And I know we can't take an action here, but I certainly request our administration to not lose this bicycle event. We had, unfortunately, the Sacramento Wheelmen have decided to move closer to home, so we've lost the other major event that we had over the last couple of years, and I would hate to see this benefit, which is not just the fun of the event, but or the exercise attached to it, but it brings revenue and business into this county, and I would really hope that we'd find a way to not have it this year.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Anything else?
There's a kind of an unfortunate punishment aspect of all this about getting the application in late. Mr. Leibold is, I don't know, maybe the person who is being punished, but we should also think about the 600 people that have submitted their applications in that have to cancel. That's a very unfortunate thing. It could give us a little bit of a black eye. But anyway, we'll see what we can do. Thank you for coming this morning.
That's all I can ask. Thank you very much.
Morning, Mr. Rusk.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I hope you missed me last week. I wasn't here. Just because I wasn't going to be here didn't mean you didn't have to be. I mean, geez, it was very nice of you. Actually, if it were possible to do an emergency action on the gentleman's issue just prior to me, I think the board could do an emergency action on that. However, there have been several good programs talked about this morning. 4 great ones: alcohol prevention, child abuse prevention, 4-H, the Children's Dental Network. I think those are terrific. My comments in the public section, however, are going to be negative. Now, going back to the beginning, my name's Darrell Rusk. I live at 101 Melcher Lane, Valley Springs, mailing address, Community of Burson, 95252, phone 772-0225. My negative comments have to do with actions on the part of 2 members of the Planning Commission. I believe that one member, as I have spoken before here and submitted letters here, the chair, Susan Kuehl, I believe demonstrated extraordinary bias in a hearing on February 19th. That hearing had to do with the Trinitas project. Gee, I didn't mean to upset you. Or you could ignore me. On the 19th of March, there was a separate appearance of bias, and that was on the part of Fawn McLaughlin. And she appeared to read from a prepared, typed, or printed statement at the end of that hearing. And I have a copy, not with me, but I do have a copy I'll be happy to share with County Council regarding a predetermination prior to closing of a hearing, which a printed document would seem to do. That court case said that it's blatant bias. My concern is, unless I am shown to be wrong, and I'm always open to being shown to be wrong, you all know that, unless I'm shown to be wrong in the very near future, and I'm talking about less in the next 10 days, I'm going to begin digging into what it takes to have 2 members of the Planning Commission removed from office because of improper activities during public hearings. I wanted to put you on notice on that point. I am not skittish. I am, and I wouldn't care, and please understand this with all sincerity, I would not care which side of the issue the bias was on. If the bias had existed in the opposite direction, I would still be just as upset and angry. I don't care about the issue when it comes to that. The bias is the problem. So I want to put you on notice. I don't like to do anything under the table without my name on it or in any way blindside. So that's why. Thank you.
Thank you, Darrell. Anybody else wishing to address the board this morning?
Are you going to speak? Not on minutes. Not on minutes. Address the board, please. You were having.
Good morning.
My name is Delbert Griffin, and I live at 7452. They put the name on there was Old Miners Way, off of Fitzgerald, off of Old Gulch. And I want to find out, does this committee have charge of all the equipment that works roads?
County
You
roads.
do?
County roads. If it's county roads, assuming it's not a
Dirt
contract.
roads, gravel roads.
Yeah, that would probably.
We got about where I'm at, it's about 2 miles to Old Miners Way, and I service about a mile of it myself. And then this last week I've had to go into the Fitzgerald Ranch and fill in all the potholes. I was wondering if you guys could help us with a program that would give us a grader to come in there at least once a year and grade that road for us. Yeah.
Whose district?
Do you know which district this is?
I can't hear.
What's the town?
What town do you live near?
What town?
What town? Yes.
What's the closest town that you?
Mountain Ranch.
Okay.
You just have to follow up.
All right. And do you, is that part of Mountain Ranch? Can you tell me which side?
I still can't hear you.
I don't know whether this is a public or private road, but I would like to follow up.
Well, at this moment it's private, but there's over 40 families in there, I would say, because I went through the books over here. I could bring a list of them in, but I didn't bring any information with me.
While we do some work on private roads, that's under contract with organizations or CSAs, CSDs. I don't believe that you've established one on that road, but I would be happy to meet with all the people on the road to figure out how you might proceed in pooling resources to be able to accomplish what you're looking for. The county cannot do maintenance on a private road without an agreement with an organization to do so.
Well, all those roads are private, even Old Gulch is, in a sense.
Yes, why don't we explain?
Well, they've paved Old Gulch. Why can't we get some, at least a grader in there to grade the thing? Put a crown in the middle.
Mr. Griffin? Sir? Mr. Griffin? I'm talking here for a second. Supervisor Walensky is prepared to meet.
I can't hear you, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Can I?
Okay, could we take a momentary recess, and I will try to exchange the information necessary to get to work on this. So,
okay,
take a 5.
Supervisor Walensky is going to talk to you right now. We're going to take a 5-minute break, and he'll get your information. Okay.
My gosh, I better go there.
Okay, we'll be reconvening in 5 minutes. We could call the meeting back to order. Supervisor Walensky, did we get Mr. Griffin's information straightened out?
Yes, we have a meeting set for 3 o'clock on Thursday, and we'll meet with the neighborhood and see what can be done. It looks like there had been an agreement previously that people were pooling their resources that seems to have fallen into some disarray, and we'll see what we can put back together to maintain that road safely.
Would you like to come down and help resolve some road issues in my district?
No, thank you. Been there, tried it. It worked out.
5 gallons of paint with stencils?
Yeah.
Well, we have a crew that could do that around midnight one night this week, if you like.
Mr. Rain, what can we do for you?
Oh, good morning to the 2 supervisors over here, Mr. Walensky and Mr. Toffanelli. My name is John Rain, and I live in Valley Springs. I'm otherwise known as the other half of the Alice and John Rain tag team in the county. I wanted to briefly touch on 2 items this morning, alluding to Mr. Thomas's remark about looking to be adopted. Hopefully, if you folks will take the advice and the suggestion that I'm going to make today, you won't have to worry about being adopted. And if you don't follow the advice and make the right decision, if you don't get adopted, then you would have plenty of room and quality treatment over at the expanded county animal shelter. My first mention would be the Trinitas project that Mr. Thomas was alluding to next week that's coming up. My position and that of some of my neighbors is that in the interest of allowing business people to pursue their business goals and do what they wish, they shouldn't be impeded too badly. But on the other hand, if they start out wrong, don't do things right, don't get the permits necessary, but still want to carry the project through in a manner that it was not started as, I would ask the board to consider a King Solomon approach, and that would be to allow Mr. Nemi to have his project run his golf course with one caveat. He started it out as a private course, and if the supervisors decide to approve the project, I believe it should be approved as a private project for paid members and family and guests only, and let Mr. Nemi do his business through the private membership approach that he started out the project as. And that is what I think might be in the best interest of the county. Reward him for his efforts, but don't give him first place since he didn't do things right. On my second item, the county is under hard budget times. Money is short. Robbing Peter to pay Paul. There's going to have to be cuts. County employees are going to have to be taking furloughs, unpaid time off. Work sharing with others so that they can all keep their jobs, even if some of them have to drop their weekly hours. My main concern has to do with a low priority item, and that is the county animal control and animal shelter. During the tight budget times, I am asking you supervisors to allow pet owners in the county to help support our local animal shelter budget. as I said, since employees in the county are going to be making sacrifices to keep working, and other people are willing to make sacrifices to keep things going and doing with less, we would hope that you'll support a temporary fee increase. I don't know government lingo for surcharges or fees that can get around that 2/3 of a vote thing, but I'm sure there's a code word for increasing government fees without it being a tax that needs to be voted on. My suggestion would be, after speaking with other pet owners, that when we found out that between 67 and 75% of pet owners do support paying more for items, paying more for fees, higher dog license costs, etc., pet owners would support doing an increase in certain items to support the animal control and shelter budget. The 3 items would be a 2-cent increase for canned and pouch-type dog and cat food, a 5-cent increase in bagged cat and dog food, and a 10-cent per item increase for cat and dog items such as water bowls, leashes, flea powder, etc. This would not affect cows and horses and llamas and ranchers. We wouldn't want to upset the ranchers in the county because, they're more radical than you and I am. But anyway, we would hope that you could find the proper words to put into a government action that would allow for a temporary emergency fee increase on these items for the next year or two until we get out of these tough budget times. Some businesses may holler about it, but when they have their supplies brought in and their suppliers run up the cost, they're able to feed that into their hand scanners and their registers, so it wouldn't be a big deal to set aside this money from the stores to pay to the proper department here in the county that handles animal control services. And we would hope that since it would only affect pet owners and we'd be paying for it, that you would allow us to help keep animal shelter operations in a better situation than they are today. So I hope you would give due consideration to both of those, because we certainly don't need a bunch of homeless dogs and cats running around because of fee cuts. That's my presentation.
Thank you very much, John. Anybody have any questions?
So where's Alice today?
Let's see. Oh, she has me taking care of the honeydews.
Well, I must say Alice gives a much better presentation.
I would certainly not disagree with you.
Hey, John.
I'm the other half of the team, and I do what she says. And although
you're a wise man.
When we're dancing and I lead where she tells me to.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, thanks a lot for your time, and I hope you can get something done on the animal control part of the budget and let the pet owners make the sacrifice to keep the situation from going downhill. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John. Thanks, John.
Wow. Anybody else wishing to talk about something that's not on the agenda? If not, we have item number 10. Let's get going. Okay, this is a review and possible action regarding the fiscal year ending that ended 6/30/08, comprehensive annual financial report, a single audit report, management report, appropriations limit, and independent accountant's report.
Good morning, Linda Churches, County Auditor, Controller. I know this seems like a conglomeration of a lot of things, but instead of piecemealing and coming back with another report that didn't make sense, I thought I would wait until we had all the reports and bring them at one time to the board this year. Would you like to go in order and go through the reports, and I can try to field all the questions that you may have? And, first first is the financial statement that is on the agenda, and I'd like to point out that this is the 9th clear report that we have received in Calaveras County, the consecutive year. A lot of work to get to this point. This was actually prepared before December 31st. We did get it in the mail to GFOA on December 31st, but it's not due to the state, and the single audit's not due to the state until March 31st. So we just started receiving the single audit and the management report along with the GAN letters. So that's why it seems a little late this year. So do you have any questions on the financial statement?
Marita, you usually have all kinds of questions.
I have, but not on that one. I have them on the other two.
Okay. Then, is there any questions on the single audit report, federal awards? Again, I'd like to point out that all these were actually clear audits, and no material misstatements were noted.
Linda, just on page 16, 17 of the single audit, I wasn't clear with to me with the CSD. I didn't understand what those were for, and I know it was just a small amount, but the other was very clear. I mean, all the others for the federal funding was very clear. I just wasn't about the last two.
Right. On this one, I just glanced at that last night going, oh, I wonder what someone could ask. And I did notice that, and I wasn't sure why this was as a supplemental schedule. It's a very small amount. Would you know why it's a separate schedule?
No, I mean, because the rest were all federal funds, and it was very self-explanatory. Mm-hmm. But the last two weren't. You can just tell me later. But okay. Fine, I wasn't clear on that one. Thank you.
But these are not major departments like the other programs. I thought maybe because they were CSDs, it was set off. It was just different. So.
And I didn't realize that they were receiving federal funds. So I just was. You can get back to me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Next we have the management report for the year ended June 30th, 2008.
Yeah, I do. Page 10. I mean, they do keep saying you need more staff. And the reality is there is going to be no staff addition probably for anyone. So on page 10, it says departments may not be adequately trained. I thought, why not? I mean, departments are now using the BITEC system, and they're entering payables, so it doesn't have to go through your office. I had a question to CalWorks and Public Health Services on if they had received their state funding, after the controller or treasurer or Lloyd's in Sacramento decided to release it. If they received it, and they said they had to check with the auditor's office. So is this an issue that can be resolved through training so that they can go on the system and find out if the monies are received?
Well, they typically know when their monies are received before we do. The state controller will send out a remittance advice. And when it does come, we put it into their fund. So even if they didn't go online, they would see it in their report, and they have access to those reports every single day. So when they're talking about the training, I think it also gets into the importance of why we do what we do. You can train people to do a lot of things, and it's not little aspects, because a lot of people may think, well, the auditor is being real picky. I don't see any need to do this. Oh, well, what's a few dollars here, a few dollars there? It all gets in the same pot. But when we do this complex reporting, and all the money that we receive from the federal government is actually premised on the fact that we can pass our audit, along with, we just went out for the jail bond, and there might be other bonds coming down the road, and we need a good financial statement and a clear report in addition to other aspects, to get good ratings. And so part of this is departments may not know in detail that they didn't receive something because they haven't spent that much time really analyzing. And, meeting with Bob and Shirley this year, where we started doing the mid-year review, and we're going to do a third quarter review to keep departments more in tune of looking at what they have received or not. When you receive over $100 million of revenue, our staff would not be able to go out and identify every little dollar that wasn't received, because I would have to have, twice as big a staff just to do that one part. But we do plan on, we're in the process of devising a form that we can give to departments that will, print out of IFAS, that will have the last 2-year revenues, and then they will have to explain in detail why it is different, why it increased, why it didn't. And that way maybe we can help them identify when something was overlooked. That's just about all we can do, for that completeness receivables.
So those are the new reports you're working on with tech services?
Right.
Okay.
That's one of them. We've been working on quite a few.
Okay. And just the last page, I just want to make sure that I understand on status comments. Is that as of June 08? It's the current status as of June 08?
Right.
Because the fiscal year, it goes back to 05, 06, 07, and those were comments they made, but it says status comments.
Right. I think the status on that, why it went back that far, is because it had not been implemented in the previous year. So once it says implemented, it will not be in the next report on the back for a status update.
Okay. And then the one, and I know you've discussed it before, but please refresh my memory. On page 13, the trust account, designated funds. 03, it says outstanding negative balance not resolved. What?
Right, that is one of the planning trust, and I know over the years, as people have come and gone, and they've had, and we've actually helped trying to train some new employees, and that was going to be their job, and they were working at it, and they had started, and then something comes up and someone leaves, and then something else happens, and they've never finished that one aspect for this fund. And I'm hoping that as soon as...
So that's the planning one where it says...
That's the planning one.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Supervisor Walensky.
Marita covered just about everything I was going to ask. On page 9, there is a
management report?
Yeah, the management report. I think some of this is covered by Marita's question, but I'm taking a slightly different look at it. It says currently the county records the majority of receivables. Currently, the county records the majority of receivables into one of 4 accounts, and it lists them. And it says, although these accounts exist in the county's chart of accounts, they are not used consistently in a way that corresponds to financial reporting requirements. It's related to that, but I'm wondering whether our problems are technical or whether they are a question.
That's a procedural thing, and if you notice that we will start doing that, and again, that will also be part of the training. When departments give us, what to book at the end of the year for their departments, we have not been breaking that down into more detail at that time. And we just put it into general accruals. And then when the financial statement is done, then they break it out. So now we're going to break that out at the time. And so that will be included in the forms and the training. And so we'll kill two birds with one stone with that one.
All right, thanks.
I have a question.
Yes, Supervisor Toffanelli.
In the management report, Linda, under admin 2005 on page 12, it says construction in progress. We recommend that the county administration, along with the auditor controller, develop standard accounting policies and procedures for construction projects. And then it has over to the right on the status, it says in process.
Since 2005.
Since 2005, we have the jail construction project coming up. What's the status on it other than in progress? I mean, are we close to?
Well, we haven't really been meeting on this one aspect. And, we have tons of policies and procedures that need to be written. This is one, for some reason, that was picked up. Currently, we are presently working on a cell phone policy, the travel policy, the CalCard policy. We need to update the teeter policy, and we have a whole list. So we're getting to that. And I think the lead on this would be the purchasing department, which is admin. So we were just instructed to help them, since we handle that. So I don't know where it is on your list to tackle. Do you have some more policies?
I guess it's at the top right now.
We'll throw it in the policy.
Shirley's come to help.
Okay.
There have been policies implemented, and we have forms to capture the cost. We're also implementing through tech services called the General Ledger System that we'll be using for the jail to ensure all the costs are captured and captured properly and what the funding source for those are. We do have forms in place that we use on all capital projects. We have not finished writing the actual policies out regarding those forms and procedures. But we're getting there.
Thank you, Shirley. I have one other question.
Go ahead.
A while ago, we had a conversation about you were going to bring something to the board regarding how the selection...
You know what? That is on one of the policies. I have it on my desk to review.
Okay.
And what I was going to do with that, I had mentioned it to the grand jury in passing at one time, and this is to establish an audit committee comprised of the Board of Supervisors, and which would take over the selection of the independent auditors to audit the county. And the grand jury was very supportive, but what I was going to do after we write the policy for this, another one that we're working on, is to give it to the grand jury to review and get their support and invite them to the meeting when it comes before the board. So that is at the final stages of that one project, because it is time to go out for the RFP process for the next audit.
It is. Well, thank you very much, Linda, for the update.
Okay.
Linda, I have a quick question. On the GAN limit?
Yes.
On the cover sheet on the back page, you showed the GAN limit for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2008 is $38.5 million, basically. That was the limit. What was, in fact, our spending for that year? So, in other words, how much were we under the limit?
Let's see. I think we're usually under the limit, like $13 million. Is that about 10 to $13 million. And we would have to have our spreadsheets because you can't look at all.
So in other words, we're not even close.
No, we're not close to the spending limit.
Okay, and you anticipate even in this fiscal year we will not be close?
Right.
Okay.
Because we're not out.
Obviously, the GAN limit is something much less than the general fund, because the general fund, I think, is in the low 40 millions. So if we're at 25 million, then obviously it's not just a general fund calculation. There's a lot.
No, it's not just the general fund calculation, but remember we have to categorize all the revenues into proceeds of taxes and non-proceeds of taxes.
I see. Okay.
So when you separate those, and we can give you a spreadsheet if you'd like to see what it's comprised of.
Okay, thank you. I don't want to really hold on to all this. Would you like this back, Linda?
No, that's fine.
You don't want it
That's
back?
nice
you
reading
have
for
to
the
take it back.
evenings.
Something to...
It is available. It's also available online if anyone loses your book and you need some good reading.
Thank you, Linda.
Okay. Any other questions of Linda? Linda, just before you leave, you used a phrase that wouldn't have been my phrase, but people accusing you of being picky. There was a GAN limit problem that you brought to our attention earlier in the year that pertained to the Copperopolis Fire District, and I have to admit, I thought in the beginning that you were being a little picky about that, but frankly, it resulted in some very good outcomes. They had an election, and it showed like an 80% approval rating of the voters that voted on that to reaffirm the limits on their GAN spending. And if it hadn't been for your efforts to point that out to us, it would have conceivable. I think it's very predictable. It would have been a far larger problem if left unattended. So, thank you for your efforts on that.
Great. You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, if we have no further questions, I'd entertain a motion on this item.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion in 2 seconds for approval on this item. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. That is 5-0 in favor of approving this item. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 11. This is a discussion and possible action regarding the approval of a resolution for the purchase and installation of a backup generator for the county's data center. And we have Howard Stolman. Good morning.
Good morning. Howard Stolman, your Chief Information Officer, and this is an exciting day. I've been looking forward to a board action item on a generator for a good number of years. And this is the kind of the concluding part of a project that spanned a few years. So the board packet is a result of a competitive bid for the last phase of this project, and I'm happy to announce that a local contractor was successful in that bid, so that excites me even more. So I'm just here to entertain any questions you may have.
It was included in your budget, so moved.
Second. It's not included in my budget. It is in a non-departmental budget, but it is there.
Okay.
Second holds.
Okay, before we move on the motion, any other, does the audience have any participation or a need to participate in this? Okay, if not, we have a motion and a second for approval of the generator. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That passes on a 5-0. Congratulations, Howard. When does the power go on? When does the power go on, or when are you going to be available for?
That we have to work out with the contractor. Now that this is approved, we'll get the whole work order schedule.
Okay.
I'm hoping before summer.
One thing that struck me as being kind of peculiar on the stats on this machine, it sits on a base with 200 gallons of diesel beneath it.
Correct.
That's set up to run for a long time, I would think. So, anyway.
It should run for a day or two, which would be good.
If you have the money to fill up the tank.
Yeah. But that's...
Hopefully we don't need to run it for that long. Most of our power incidents are fairly short-lived. However, we have had some that have gone on for more than a few hours.
But I didn't see any 5-gallon containers listed in the... You have to carry them up the steps and fill the tank, right?
We're placing it in a location that's actually easily accessible by fuel trucks.
Ah.
It'll be in the kind of the alcove right over here next to between the Sheriff's Department and this building. There was an old rickety fence, if some of you remember that was torn down, and a few months ago there was a lot of digging activity in that location as they were putting in the conduit system.
Yeah, I walked by there the other day and saw a lot of abandoned hand tools back in that area that look like they've been there for 15 years or so. Anyway, congratulations on that. Okay, moving on to item number 12. This is We're going to receive an update on the Amador-Tuolumne Community Action Agency's Central Sierra Connect broadband project, and this is Michelle Shelton. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, Supervisor Thomas. I'm here to give you an update about our grant that we received from the California Emerging Technologies Fund. We're a little bit over the midpoint, and then after I give you an update on the 4 points that we're working on, I'm going to talk about some of the regional processes that are happening to apply for ARA funds, the American Reinvestment and Recovery Act funds. And so I'm going to start with talking a little bit about the CETF project overall. We received a grant to do an aggregation of demand project for a 5-county region, Alpine, Amador, Calaveras, Mariposa, and Tuolumne counties. And the 4 points of that project were to do infrastructure mapping, to do some public policy work, to do outreach and engagement with the community about broadband, and to do a demand survey to see what people's needs are in terms of local broadband. The first point that I'm going to talk about is our infrastructure mapping, and I first wanted to thank Calaveras County for the amount of assistance that we've received from your folks here. It's been amazing how generous the Calaveras County staff has been with their time in helping us get the things that we need, so I did want to make sure that I thanked you very much for that. Our infrastructure mapping is approximately 80% complete at this point. We've received all available information from public sources. We've purchased some data, and we're still in the process of collecting private provider data. We've encountered some significant resistance from the providers in giving us their information because it is proprietary, but we've been trying to work with them on an individual one-on-one basis to assure them that we're not interested in their confidential information. We simply want to know where their boundaries are. Once we know where their boundaries are, then we can start taking a look at alternative deployment scenarios to see what we can do to encourage build-out from those points outward. And all of the information that they do give us will be kept confidentially. It's a part of a larger effort that the state is engaging in collecting broadband infrastructure information, and will be a point of federal funding as well in the future. Because each of the companies keep their own maps individually. They don't share this with anybody, including the California Public Utilities Commission, except for when they're doing specific projects. So there's no one central point yet for infrastructure mapping, but thanks to the California Emerging Technology Fund, all of Northern California, all the regional consortia will be providing mapping information to the state, and then the state is actually taking the time and the effort to collect the urban areas as well, and we'll assemble it into a giant series of maps that will hopefully be accurate at some point. Right now there's a problem with what's called granularity. The areas are very large, and they need to really drill down and look at the small aspects. So we still need assistance, and so if you know of service providers that we can contact, if you have personal connections with them and can assist me in making appointments, that would be great, because we really need to collect their information in order to finish this portion of the project. The second portion of the project that we're working on is policy. We've collected all of the publicly available broadband and wireless policies for all 5 counties currently, and we've collected a series of broadband policies that are on a local level, a state level, and a federal level for the local county administrations to look at and comment on and see if there's any possibility of fielding a regional broadband policy that would be favorable towards adoption. Now, we're not actually going to do that. We simply want to make a series of recommendations about that. So we're working with each of the county administrator's office one by one. We haven't brought Calaveras in yet, but we're about to, because we're doing it on an individual basis and collecting and finding out what their interests are and if they're interested in even participating in fielding some sort of regional policy and making a recommendation. So we still have Calaveras and Tuolumne counties to go. For the third point, I'm going to defer to my counterpart, Shannon Mosher. She's also with ATCA, and she's going to talk about regional outreach and engagement since she's spearheading that effort.
Michelle gets to do all the techie stuff, and I get to do the fun stuff. One of the first things we did was we attended, I believe Russ Thomas brought the Zero Divide curriculum to Bret Harte High School, and we had a few staff members that went and attended that. We did a train the trainer, and we are replicating that throughout the region across the 5 counties. We're going to work with some of the computer users groups and really build that out to include, I think that it was a really good curriculum, and there was a good starting point, but there have been other questions that people have asked that this curriculum doesn't cover. So, but it's really been well received so far. We have started using it in Amador and Tuolumne counties with the family learning centers, the welfare to work programs, and the ELL programs, and they love it, and they're very excited about it, and there's lots of other people saying, when do we get to do it? So that's what we're working on. We're also working, the next big project is 211.
And if you don't know what that is, it's basically 411 for social services. It's a hotline somebody could call and find out, my husband just lost his job, I don't have any food, excuse me, where can I go so that I can feed my family this week till his unemployment check comes in? So those kinds of things, everybody would have a quick number that they could call, and they wouldn't have to look through the phone book and, make one phone call and they say, oh, I'm not real sure, but if you call her, she might know, or if you call that agency, they might know. There'd be the one clearinghouse with a database that everybody could call. The other things we're doing are building neighborhood information centers. So for families who don't have a computer at home or who don't have internet access yet, they can go to libraries, community centers, and places like that and have access to computers and have people on staff that can help them use those computers if they're not real familiar with them. So those are the big projects. And then also we're going to be working on telemedicine. Is there anything I'm forgetting? I think I got it all. Okay, thank you.
We discovered in working on this project that there's no point in bringing broadband to the users if you don't have users using the broadband. So the demand survey has produced some very interesting fruit. Let me give you a little bit of background about it first. We did the survey. It was a random telephone survey for residences first over the 5-county region. We purchased the information from a telecommunications company, so it was completely random. We don't know any of the people that we called other than when we called them. We had 92% of the people that we called actually responded to the survey. For Calaveras County, we had over 100 responses. We did the survey during business hours, after hours, over the weekend. So it was a truly random sampling, both in terms of people and time. Of the people in Calaveras County, because I figured you'd be most interested in Calaveras County data, 75% of the people who were surveyed felt that the internet was very important, almost as important as food, clothing, and shelter. So that was a very significant figure. Now, overall, over the 5-county region, 60% of the people that we surveyed were aged 65 and over. In Calaveras County, it was only 45% of that figure, though we did have 45 people who responded to the survey in Calaveras County who were 65 and over, and a significant portion of those people were 75 and over. So it was a very heavily skewed senior population, less in Calaveras County than in the others, but still a lot of seniors. Of those seniors, only 6% reported that they were disabled and needed significant help using the internet. So the vast majority of the seniors that we surveyed for Calaveras County both go online and they love the internet. So the biggest cry that we heard overall was, we want our broadband and we want it now. We were very sympathetic to that, but we found something very interesting in looking at the addresses for the demand survey versus the mapping that we had done. When we did an overlay, we discovered that many of the people who were crying out for DSL were actually within the DSL footprint and seemed to be unaware of it or didn't know what broadband was. So there's an opportunity for the local ISPs to take a look at this information and possibly do some targeted marketing towards folks that may not understand what broadband is, that it's simply high-speed internet access. And one other interesting fact from Calaveras, 70% of the people who we surveyed would be willing to pay a significant amount of money to get higher speed internet, even higher speed than what currently exists in Calaveras County. The final thing that I want to talk about our project, we have an advisory council meeting coming up here in Calaveras County at the Department of Health and Human Services, CalWorks and Human Services, on the 17th from 10 to 12. You're all cordially invited to attend. The main thrust of this advisory council meeting is going to be talking about the American Reinvestment and Recovery Act and fielding a regional application and local shovel-ready projects. We've also arranged on Friday mornings at 10 o'clock a phone call, a half-hour phone conference between all 5 counties for members of the Board of Supervisors and members of the county administration to get regular project updates. We receive a call from the state first thing in the morning, and then after that phone call is over, I'll be setting up the conference call line for members of the Board of Supervisors and administration so they can hear everything that we just talked about with our funders and the Chief Information Officer's office, so that way you can get a direct conduit as to what's going on locally. I will make sure that Shirley Ryan has that information and will disseminate it to you in time for this next Friday's phone call. The final thing I'm going to talk about is the ARROW funding. First, I'm going to give you a little bit of information about it. Our funders, the California Emerging Technology Fund, are working very closely with the Chief Information Officer and with the California Public Utilities Commission in being a conduit for this funding and trying to secure California's fair share of the funding. The Chief Information Officer's best estimate is that approximately $1 billion is coming to California for broadband deployment, which is a very significant figure. There is also another significant figure that needs to be looked at, especially for our 5-county region, which is $715 million will be going towards in California Native American and tribal concerns, and a serious portion of that is meant for broadband and digital divide projects. So keep that in mind as we talk about all of this. There'll also be money for health information technology and telemedicine. And for our 5-county region, I wanted to let you know that we have just formed a group, and we're slowly going to be working on doing needs assessments in all 5 counties with behavioral health, with the local hospitals and clinics, everybody that's eligible for the California Telehealth Network. And we're going to pay a consultant to put together a possible regional application for telemedicine for all 5 counties in order to try to get enough funding to pay for equipment. There are 9 centers in our 5 counties that are eligible for the California Telehealth Network. There's $100 million of infrastructure money that will be bringing hardwire into the telemedicine centers that have applied. Calaveras County did apply for this funding through MACT and through Mark Twain St. Joseph's. So they're involved in this. And so we're hoping, because that money is strictly and specifically only for infrastructure, to write the grant that will bring the equipment for telemedicine and staff time, including things like mobile vans. But as we form the group, you'll be hearing about it. We're going to be getting all the local stakeholders together and doing a needs assessment first. So this will be unfolding over the next couple of months. A target date that you need to keep in mind is it's beginning to look like the first round of RFPs for the broadband money will be coming out about June 10th. So we only have a few weeks to broker any kind of agreements and get together regional applications in time to get the first round of funding. There will be 3 rounds of funding. The next round of funding will be coming up in October, and then there's a 3rd round of funding in the spring. But our best shot as rural constituents is going to be the first round, because we're going to be competing against urbans, and they won't have as much. It's going to take them longer to field the applications than it will take us. So our only realistic shot is really going to be this first round, though we will continue to apply for the subsequent 2 rounds. Let's see. Make sure I haven't missed anything. There are 2 pushes currently for applying for broadband money that ACA is going to be involved in. The first is fielding a 5-county regional application. We've collected 25 shovel-ready projects that are concerning the digital divide, specifically computer labs, computer literacy training, on-the-ground services for people, and we're going to try to put together all of these things into one regional application and apply for it in this first rounding in June, and that's what this advisory council meeting is about. The second portion of it, the infrastructure portion, we've got a providers meeting this week with most of the local service providers to see if we can get them to apply together for infrastructure money for our 5-county region. Now, we will not be the fiscal agents or have anything to do with that grant, but the California Emerging Technology Fund has offered to be the fiscal agent for a regional grant for our area and has engaged the service of a grant writer to help all the regional consortia put their grants together. The applications, it's vital that the service providers attempt to apply together. The California Advanced Services Fund is our sister grant, which was an infrastructure grant based on tax money from your phone bill. They've only been able to successfully pass out $20 million of the $100 million that they collected so far. We're waiting to hear about 2 grant efforts, both of which are very heavily Calaveras-centered, to bring 2 different broadband platforms to our region. We should be hearing about the first one on sometime in April, possibly a second one in May. But we don't know. Until they publish, we won't know exactly what they're doing. But we tried at that time to get them to apply together to maximize the amount of money. And instead, they chose to apply separately, and they are not going to get nearly as much money as if they had applied together. So we're going to try even harder this time to work out something with the California Emerging Technology Fund, with these infrastructure providers, to try to maximize the amount of money. Because if $1 billion is coming in, to California, a significant amount of that money is going to skew towards urban. So we're going to have to work very, very hard and yell very loud to get what we need for our rural region. And with only 167,000 people in 5 counties, there's not very much return on investment. So we're going to have to work very hard and very rapidly to get these things together. I think that's all I was going to talk about today. It's a lot of information, but it's going very well. We anticipate publishing a lot of the results, our mapping and our survey data, as soon as we get a release from California Emerging Technologies Fund. We're in the process of, we finished the analysis, now we're doing revisions, and we're waiting to get ready to publish. So a lot of the stuff will be publicly available on our website, centralsierraconnect.org, sometime next month, I'm hoping.
You have a question?
It's not a question. It's just an observation. We seem to have a problem in Calaveras pulling people together. It can be water, fire, cemetery districts. Almost all of our services seem to be balkanized. Part of that is a reflection on our geography, I suppose, and part of it's our culture, and part of it may be our politics. But I'm wondering whether you need any assistance, and if there's anything any of us could provide in trying to pull these folks together for a common proposal. There is no other way. You're absolutely right on this. And we minimize our possibilities by sticking to the way we've always done things, small. So I'm just wondering what, if any, help you might be seeking, and if there's anything that people on this board or any other agency could do to help further the goal of pulling this into a single effort.
Well, there's a couple of things that you could do, which, first off, attend the meeting if you can on the 17th, and it's here in Calaveras, and bring with
Where
you.
And when?
It's on the 17th at 10 a.m. from 10 to 12, so it may go a little longer. It's at the CalWorks and Human Services building in the Sequoia room.
Yeah.
We love doing it here in Calaveras because the facility is great, and it's a central point, and it's very easy to book. And like I said, the Calaveras staff is very helpful, so we enjoy working with Calaveras County. Another thing is bring more shovel-ready projects to the table. We've collected 25, but there are only 3 for Calaveras County, and 2 of them are very small, the digital divide projects. We still have a major player that we need to contact here in Calaveras, the Human Resource Council, and talk to them about what their needs are. We just haven't gotten that far yet because we've been gearing more towards infrastructure projects first. There is one very significant project that Calaveras County is involved in, though we've been working primarily with Alpine County, and that's the Alpine Calaveras Sheriff's Tower Project. We're going to be helping Under Sheriff Rob Levy apply for funding to try to get that funded in this first round of money. He's working on it very hard with the California Emerging Technology Fund. He gave him the complete prospectus and is working on that. So, but that's who our primary contact has been on that particular project. We haven't talked to Calaveras as of yet because we've been talking to Rob since he's the one who's spearheading the effort. So, but I wanted to tell you about that today to make sure that you knew that that is on the table again, and it is a possibly a very good possibility that it will get funding, because it has broadband implications, and not just for Calaveras and Alpine, also Tuolumne County, Mono County, and Amador County. Wants to broker a regional application with the service providers and them all together, because what would happen is each company would be ring-fenced. They would have their piece of the application, and their project would be separate, with CETF being simply the fiscal agent passing each section their money. And so each project is separate on its own with just one fiscal agent. So that's a really good one. But we need more shovel-ready projects, especially digital divide projects for Calaveras County. Amador County, for example, one of the projects that we've placed on the list is to wire up their Health and Human Services building with wireless. We're looking at getting wireless to 2 of their libraries that don't have wireless service. We have 2 in Tuolumne County like that, starting brand new neighborhood information centers in various places. But we haven't gotten much traction in Calaveras County simply because, like you said, everybody's really busy, and Calaveras marches to its own drummer. So they want to do things their way, and I don't blame them.
It's a source of pride and shame all at once.
So just bring more projects to the table. Talk to your people, talk to the county folks, and find out what the possibilities are. Do you have things that you would like to do? What's your wish list? What's something that you'd like to do in the next 2 years that there's no other possible way that you're going to get funding for, and it touches on broadband? It could be even amplifying Mr. Hamilton's efforts at getting e-government onto websites. Mariposa County currently doesn't have any way of broadcasting their supervisors' meetings, and they've put that as one of their shovel-ready projects on the list. And it's great. E-government is a huge part of what we're doing. So keep that in mind as well. Digital divide can only have the most tenuous link, as long as it's getting people online. And there's also, think about Homeland Security, think about public safety. There's specific funding for that as well. And if it touches broadband, we're willing to help, and so are our funders. Because how else is this going to happen? Everybody's so busy and so strapped for cash. This is our one shot. So. Online education, we have a very exciting thing going on in Amador County that Shannon's spearheading, opening up a campus, a virtual campus for Cosumnes College in Amador County. So because they're so far away from Columbia and Cosumnes is so much closer, we've got a grant fielded to pay for their internet connectivity, and they're actually working on opening an actual center with a local provider. So that's another idea, extension of Columbia College potentially, and their footprint further into Calaveras and virtual education. So anything is open. Just contact me via email, mshelton@atka.org, and let me know what your idea is, and I'll help you fill it out, and then I'll put you in contact with the California Emerging Technologies Fund, who is shaping these proposals together into something more cohesive.
Can you leave cards with the clerk, please?
I did not bring any. Can you believe that? Oh, Shannon, you can contact Shannon as well. She's my counterpart for Amador County. She's an Amador County resident. So.
Okay, does the board have any other questions? Okay, Mary, did you have a question? Could you come?
Mary Boblett, Hathaway Pines. It's a pleasure finally to meet Michelle. I've been tracking her on her website and never really get a chance to go over and meet you. In Tuolumne County, I never go there. But I've prepared some comments today because as a personal interest, I'm tracking ARRA and the bringing of jobs and progress to our county. So I'd like to share a couple things with you today. First of all, there are really good reasons for bringing this funding to our county. We have coming into our community a mostly retired community, reaching up to perhaps 30% or more of our population in the future. And we can make it more affordable for these seniors to live here and to want to live here as they begin their retirement and leave their communities in the Bay Area or wherever. Healthcare costs are crushing our businesses and our families across the nation and here in this county. So that's one reason why the California Emerging Technology Fund identified telehealth for California's rural areas. In fact, they recognize telehealth as the #1 reason to bring broadband to rural areas. And you can go on Wikipedia and read all about telehealth, but it's something we don't think about here. It's the delivery of healthcare-related services and information via telecommunications technologies. And I mean, there's a big list of things that it provides, and it's our future. It's not here yet, but it's not very far away. And as we, once again, think about the folks who are here and coming here, telehealth is going to be something we'll be thinking about in the future. So clearly telehealth makes sense. However, today we have perhaps more than 50% of our population leaving the county to receive their health care. So we don't even have an economy set up here for these folks to receive their health care. If they were to be online at home or be going to Mark Twain or go to their doctor or facility, whatever is providing telehealth here, they willingly leave the county to get their health care. That's where their doctors are. So the county can play facilitator here to support telehealth and keep those patients here and grow a supportive and diverse economy for the county. But only if they support a healthcare economy here. So that's something that the county government and the Board of Supervisors needs to think about. So this brings up the issue of how will this whole broadband expansion be accomplished, either publicly or privately. Terry Murrison from Tuolumne County recently spoke about this broadband project. She had really good things to say about it in the Sierra Mountain Times. And she said this whole thing's going to be accomplished privately. And that makes sense. I mean, ATCAA doesn't have the funding, and counties don't have the funding. We don't have we have a CIO. He's gone now, but we know he doesn't have the funding either. Well, that's another area where the county government can facilitate. Here's an example. Currently up in my district, District 3, Comcast is the broadband provider. I have broadband at my house. But Comcast is quoting up to $30,000 installation fee to provide broadband to one home. And that home is near another home with Comcast. So clearly, private industry isn't finding it profitable at all to simply bring everyone online with 5 MIPS to 10 MIPS speed, matching the more urban areas of California communities. So if you were willing to retire and move to Calaveras County, or you wanted to move to another county and leave the Bay Area or another urban area, you might not want to come to Calaveras because it's too expensive to get the high-speed internet. Well, California, the state, and CETF are willing to weigh in, as Michelle has mentioned, but they have some guidelines, some really specific guidelines, and county government is once again involved. Here are their major policy initiatives. You're going to love this. They believe in digital literacy, promoting that, and that's school to home and some other stuff. Telehealth and telemedicine, which we've already talked about, and then the last 3, which are very interesting, are smart housing, smart infrastructure, which is integrated infrastructure construction, and smart land use policies, model land use policies and ordinances. That's our general plan, that's you, that's county government, that's our planning commission, that's county government. We can help facilitate and direct and bring that money to our county if we follow maybe some of their major policy initiatives and what they believe needs to be done here in California. So it seems that it's best that a collaborative approach will allow the most success to bring all the various parties together on this. As Michelle mentioned, it's a bit of a challenge here in Calaveras County. But if we bring together the customers of those ISPs, those private companies that are not sharing and are coveting their really precious maps and their $30,000 non-investment areas. It seems like if we brought together public safety, those private ISPs, the Chamber of Commerce, and the Economic Summit Committee, which was a really good indicator of a county coming together last summer, and if we brought together the health providers and others, then we might have an opportunity to get those collaborative agreements and get the CETF to look at us. Because without broadband, high-speed internet, we might not experience progress in this county. Businesses and potential homeowners might go elsewhere given the choice of access to a tool that's increasingly becoming ubiquitous as running water is, streets, and electricity. So that's our future, and I think that rural broadband, if you're to look at all the ARRA funding opportunities, this is the one that means the most for Calaveras County. And once again, I didn't even talk about the jobs that would be brought about if we did the installation of broadband. To me, that's a complete mystery. But the jobs that would bring about in the future once the broadband is here is pretty lucrative. So thank you. Thank you for listening.
Mr. Rusk.
Again, Darrell Rusk, 101 Melcher, Merson. A quick note on that topic, and that is Ed Lark is the operator of Calaveras County Television, and it would be terrific if that television station broadcast could be broadcast over the broadband network. Right now, the majority, or at least half the population of the county cannot receive Calaveras Television unless they're signed up with Comcast. All of Valley Springs, Cowperopolis, and so forth are unable to receive this county's television station. So that might be an expansion area that would be worth looking at also. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else wishing to comment on this topic? Thank you very much, Michelle and Shannon. It's obvious you've been very busy. My compliments to your efforts. I'll be seeing you on the 17th, and hopefully other members of the board will also attend.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Thomas, for being a big supporter of our project. You've been very instrumental in this.
Okay, one of the things I wanted to ask you is you mentioned that perhaps simply providing a wireless hub at a library would qualify for
Absolutely.
That you're talking about $500 or something for one of those wireless hubs. So it's something
depends on what type you're talking about. We have areas that simply don't have broadband access that we're going to actually do, working on getting a company to bring in a tower and run wire in there. But yeah, actually the Health and Human Services building over in Amador, it is a matter of only maybe $1,000 for their connectivity. So even tiny projects are just as welcome.
Okay, that's interesting.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item number 13. This is a public hearing and possible board action to approve the submission of a final grantee performance report for the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, program number 05STBG-1523. This is brought to us by CalWorks and Mr. Busby. Good morning, Larry.
Good morning. Larry Busby, Central Sierra Planning Council. Attached to the memorandum to the board, you have an 8-page document, which I would like to summarize for the public with 3 sentences, because this is all that document says. During this grant period, 2 Native American households were assisted with housing rehabilitation assistance. Both households are located in the West Point area. Both houses are female heads of households and are handicapped and elderly. So that 8-page report in front of you is summarized in those 3 sentences. I would recommend, after the conclusion of the public hearing, that the Board of Supervisors authorize the County Administrative Officer's signature on the document for transmittal to the state. Are there any questions I can answer prior to the public hearing?
Yes, Supervisor Walensky.
Yeah, I saw a mention of a third house that was going to be...
That's in my narrative. It's not in this report.
Okay.
That third house was not part of this grant because that grant ended December 31st.
Okay, so that is not going to be completed?
Yes, it is.
It is. But
it is going to be. It's not going to be done under this program. It's going to be done under the county's reuse funds for housing rehabilitation. So that process is right before it goes to bed at the current time, but that house will be completed.
Great. Is that the Matson Lane, the other Matson Lane
That's
property?
correct.
Yes, thank you. I had one other question, which has to do more with the requirements involved in getting these projects done. We worked, one of the requirements for these 2 houses was to have basically a full-service contractor who could do the entire project in terms of the installation. And I'm wondering that caused some amount of difficulty in terms of finding people that were far, far away to come in because there was no local bidder on such. I'm wondering if the rules of this project, this type of project, CDBG, Native American funds, allow for, is that a convenience for us, or could we have local contractors do pieces of it to make a whole?
No, there's no requirement under the program that a contracting firm, if I understand you correctly, be hired to do all the rehabilitation work. That's not the program. The program is such that the county is providing the funding for the activity and is assisting the individual homeowner in selecting a licensed contractor who's eligible to do that type of work that they require in their home. So each homeowner selects their own contractor, subject to an actual bidding process that they would go through to obtain contractors to say they would want to do the project. The problem we found with that was not an absence, but not a lot of licensed contractors in the West Point area who wanted to get involved in the work. For example, the projects we had that were done and completed, done primarily by out of the area subcontractors. simply because there weren't any individuals in the West Point area who were licensed to do those activities. So the program is not that the county hires a contractor to do the work for the individuals hire the contractor themselves. The county funds that activity and does the work write-ups and follow-up. Does that answer your question?
Somewhat, although the details of procedure still elude me, so maybe I should just talk with you at another time.
Sure.
Any other questions of Larry?
I have one. Larry, who facilitates that RFP when it goes out to bid? Does the county help the homeowner put together what they're asking for a bid for and what needs to be done to the home?
Yes, what we have is a licensed contractor on our staff who goes out to the house. I usually go with him. And we go through the entire house to see what needs to be done, what the homeowner would like to have done and what needs to be done. Right. What I mean by like to have done and needs to be done is you can't do remodeling with the program. You have to address health and safety issues on the residents. So once we understand what they're going to do, our contractor does a work write-up of all the work to be done, does an estimated in-house cost of what that should bid out at, approximately. And then we take that document and develop an actual request for proposals from contractors. That goes out to our contractors' bidding list. We have a list of contractors in Calaveras County. When we get a response back to that work write-up, then we have an agreement that's entered into between the homeowner and that selected contractor to do the work. Hopefully you have 3 bids come back and the homeowner has 3 different contractors they can select from.
And if there's plumbing that needs to be done, if there's electrical that needs to be done, if there's sheetrock that has mold or whether it needs to be replaced, and painting that needs to be done, he's dealing with those. That's all put together in a package, and then the homeowner, the list of contractors that you send it to would be general contractors, or you would send, and so they would be responsible for each sub.
Each sub.
Yeah. Okay.
Under the way you describe the work to be done would require several subs.
Right.
So we require at that point that you be a licensed general contractor, and then we leave it up to you to hire the individuals and come in with the full cost of the project as you bid it.
Thank you.
Another question?
Yes, I'm sorry, I forgot to ask the other one. This report that we have doesn't really show the allocation of dollars to what ends, and I'm wondering whether we ever see that. I assume that's public record.
Yes, you do. You saw it last time when I was before you for the annual report. The only reason you don't see it this time is that it's the same information again being repeated.
Okay, so there's been no other expenditures.
There's nothing additional to that report. This report, the federal government and the state government both require this specific report be done to close out the grant.
All right. The initial grant, as I recall, was something close to $500,000.
That's correct.
Did we, in the end, have to send any of that back?
We did disencumber a portion of those funds. About $45,000 were not expended.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. This requires a board action.
Actually, there's a public hearing.
Okay. All right.
Don't we need to do a public hearing on this?
We do. So would there be anyone in the audience that wishes to comment on this agenda item? Now I can ask for a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve this item. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. That item is approved. Thank you, Larry. Okay, our next item here is Laura Sternick has been waiting very patiently here. The public hearing and possible board action regarding an application. This is 2007-101 zoning amendment and negative declaration for Laura Sternick. She's requesting a zoning amendment from unclassified to C2 for a 0.65 acre parcel in Copperopolis, right in downtown Old Copperopolis. I think we're going to have a presentation by the planning department. So,
the subject property is in the Copperopolis Community Center.
Sorry?
What is your name, sir?
I'm Dennis Gomez, planner with the Planning Department.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you. Excuse me. The subject property is located in the Copperopolis Community Center, and the adjacent properties to this subject property are all zoned CT, general commercial, at this time. The subject property is zoned unclassified, and in doing our research, staff feels that it is appropriate to rezone this property from unclassified to commercial to be consistent with the adjacent properties and uses. Does the board have any particular questions to this proposal at this time?
This is a county proposal to do this, is that correct? Or
right.
Okay.
Well, no, the applicant is being...
All right, so the reason I'm asking this question is because it would appear that this is an anomaly, that there's an unclassified, for some reason we didn't get around to doing moving the unclassified to a commercial zoning at some previous general plan review. This is an area that goes back to this unclassified zoning. Gosh, I don't know. There's another Old Corner Saloon that had a similar circumstance from 1865. So this is a parcel. Yeah, it's just been that way, unfortunately.
The applicant is present. If you have any questions for the applicant.
Sounds like a good proposal. If it's going from an old saloon to a nursery.
No, it's not a saloon.
We
don't want to lose a saloon, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, this could really spark a severe board debate, but since the saloon is no longer with us, I think the property upgrade.
So you're supporting this, Russ?
Of course, yeah. This is absolutely perfect use for the site. Ms. Sternick has a delightful little flower shop there that I think that this is really a very predictable outcome of the growth that we're seeing in Copperopolis. The people were concerned initially about the town square, with everything was going to be sucked over to there, and I felt all along that this, because of the proximity, that the old town area would grow in importance, and this is fulfilling my prophecy in many ways. So,
fulfilling your prophecy?
My prophecy about Old Town Copperopolis, yes. I do have prophecies. But, anyway, this is a public hearing. Do we have any other members of the board? First of all, are you through with your questions? If so, how about members of the public wishing to comment on this? Okay. Hearing none, then the chair requests or entertains a motion for approval.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. If you can.
I have a quick question.
Oh, yes.
Russ. The department's recommendation is to adopt an ordinance to approve zoning amendment 207-102. And that's it. Does it not require a negative deck or some environmental?
It is. It's attached. That's part of it.
There's one attached.
So the motion covers that as well.
Okay, but that's not in the recommendation, so I don't think that's in the motion. So doesn't the motion not have to include a negative deck?
Yes, there's two resolutions here, one for approving a negative declaration and one for...
Top part here.
It's in the recommendation in the top.
Just for the record, my motion includes the zoning amendment and the approval of the negative deck.
Okay, the motion as amended, the second still holds? Is that correct? Okay.
And the second still stands.
Okay. Now, all in favor of the revised motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, the motion carries on a 5-0. Go sell some flowers.
You have to do one's an ordinance and one's a resolution. So you have to...
Okay, item number 15. This is a public hearing and possible board action regarding establishing an agricultural preserve and subsequent California land conservation contract for Gary E. Arons and Kathy S. Arons as co-trustees under the Gary and Kathy Arons Family Trust Agreement. This property lies north of the Cement Plant Road, Flintcoat Hill, Caloritas Road, transects the property. And this is brought to us by the Department of Agriculture. And welcome, Mary. Good to see you.
Well, good morning. Still this morning. Good morning, Supervisor Thomas, members of the board. Today I am bringing forward the request from Kathy and Gary Arns to enter into a California land conservation contract with the county, which also requires the establishment of an agricultural preserve. And Kathy Arns has also been patiently in the audience since 9:30 this morning, too, so I do want to acknowledge that. Kathy and Gary Arns own approximately 273 acres of grazing land close to Caloritas, and as Supervisor Thomas said, it is the Cement Plant Road forms its southern boundary, and Caloritas Road runs right through their property. The land is leased for a cow-calf operation. Ken Churches performed the feasibility statement on the property and determined that very easily the land meets the $2,000 annual income requirement that is required. The Agricultural Advisory Committee has met, and they recommended that the Board of Supervisors establish an ag preserve on the land owned by the Arntzes and enter into a California land conservation contract. Staff also recommends that the board approve a resolution which establishes an agricultural preserve on the property owned by the Arntzes. And staff also recommends that the board approve a resolution which authorizes the execution of California Land Conservation Contract number 308 between the county and the Arntzes. If you have any questions, I can take them now. And also, Kathy Arns is here during public hearing.
And this becomes effective January 1, 2010.
Exactly.
Okay, any questions of Mary Mutz? Any questions of the applicant? Okay, any comments from the audience about this item? Okay, I'll close the public hearing and request a motion.
I move we accept the staff's recommendations on items
Second.
1 and 2.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve this application. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Opposed? Hearing none. Congratulations. Okay.
Mary,
Motion
just
carried.
kind of curious offside, since they take effect January 1. You used to sort of bring them at one time. Is there a reason? I'm sure you've told us why we're doing it kind of piecemeal.
It's easier on staff.
Hey, it's a wrap for me. Thank you. Okay. I was just, because I know we used to have Williamson Act Day at the Board of Supervisors.
I recall that day also.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
It does, however, and my apologies to the people who have been waiting all this time. As you can tell, based on whatever comes forward in public comment, it's rather unpredictable as to when it will arrive. But thank you for your patience.
Yes. Okay, Mary's not going to sit down because she's going to be talking to us about item 16. This is a discussion and possible action regarding the rescission of portions of Calaveras County Agricultural Preserve Contract numbers 44 and 154, while simultaneously entering into a new California Land Conservation Contract number 309 for the Shabram Family Trust. And do you have a report on that, Mary?
This time I'm bringing forward a request from Roland and Francisca Shabram. She goes by the name Frances, or at least that's what we call her. And they own approximately 200 acres along Gillum Road. The Shabrams' acreage is currently restricted by portions of two California Land Conservation Contracts, numbers 44 and 154. Both of these contracts have been split up and sold to various landowners over the years. The Shabrams wish to rescind the portions of these two contracts that pertain to their land and enter into one new Williamson Act contract, with them being the sole signatures on that contract. Their land is dry land pasture. They run about 40 head of cattle, and they meet the annual $2,000 production requirement. Ken Churches, our farm advisor, has prepared the feasibility statement, and he determined that the land can support the $2,000 annual income. The Agricultural Advisory Committee met and recommended the board rescind the portions of these two contracts while simultaneously entering into a new contract for the shoppers. Staff recommends the board approve a resolution which rescinds portions of contracts number 44 and 154 while simultaneously entering into a new California Land Conservation contract number 309 with the Chagrongs. And Roland and Francis are also here this morning during public hearing if you have any questions for them.
Yes, Supervisor Walensky.
Not a question, but a compliment. Thank you for putting this all back together in a good way, and thanks for your commitment to the land. This is a very good move, and again, thank you for your patience as well.
Okay. I have sort of a technical question, Mary. I'm not clear. The land is owned by multiple parties?
Yes.
The contract
is held by multiple parties.
I understand that.
Okay.
I know that.
Connections, the Resource Connections effort. We have made a decision to have it be a sort of a hybrid type of an outreach to people who are living in the area that would like to do their own individual gardens and raise produce for themselves as well as contribute to the underserved community. Okay, and that was really, Gary, I appreciate your being involved in that. That was really good. And as a result of Gary's connections, the place got ripped last week or earlier this week, and we're going to do some.
I'm glad to see that you and Gary are going to catch all that methane in the horse manure as you plant the garden there in Westwood. So.
You've been sniffing it for years, Tom. Okay, one other thing about Copperopolis, a plug for Copperopolis. They're having this is really kind of an interesting thing, that the Firefighter Association at the Copper Fire District is having a dog vaccination clinic for rattlesnake venom, and I think that this is coming about because they have all these calls down in our area, maybe up in your area as well, for rattlesnake bites on these cats and dogs and stuff that they have to respond to these calls. So this is unusual that they're having it on Sunday, but it's Sunday at beginning at 2 o'clock at the Copperopolis Fire Station on Main Street. This is an amazing bargain, $20 for an anti-rattlesnake bite venom. And if it's the first time that your dog is being inoculated, it has to be followed up within a couple of weeks or a couple of months with a second shot. But anyway, just wanted to bring that out for public notice. So I think that's about it for me. So we are going. Oh, I always forget those guys. Would you like to fill us in on what you're...
Because they're way to the right.
Yeah, way to the right. Yeah, they're
right wingers.
To the right. Just briefly, Mr. Chair, you, I think, may all be aware that the Chamber of Commerce had formerly been the agency responsible for the county's state fair booth. They have stepped back from that, and the Convention and Visitors Bureau is stepping up to take responsibility for that display of our wares and our history and our attractions for visitors all around the state to come see. And just want to let the board know I will be signing off on there's a formal application that needs to go up to the state fair, just to acknowledge that the responsibility is transferred from the chamber to the Convention and Visitors Bureau. So,
and the Visitors Bureau accepted it?
They sought it.
They sought it.
Yeah,
yes.
They've been seeking it for some time.
So, and just a suggestion as far as the remainder of the business for the day. If you wish to handle matters 19 and 20 over lunch has been ordered and is ready at the county council's office, and we could return at a specified time, whether 1 or 1:15,
to handle item 21 to the boardroom.
1 o'clock, Maria?
To come
Back here for closed session.
Wait.
Late lunch in county council's office.
Pretty lunch and then come back to closed session at a set time.
If I heard you correctly, you want to dispense with item 19 and 20 during our lunch break.
I think that would be. You have plenty of time to do that, and so set a definite time to return for item 21.
What about the other number 23?
County Council, that's 21. County Council Jones has been called away. County Council, Deputy County Council, Sirius doesn't know what that one is. I don't know what that one is, and Janice doesn't know what it is. So
is Janice here today?
No. So nobody knows what that one is. I hate as I need to admit it.
I'll come up with something. We can discuss.
We can be sued for any one of a number of things, Supervisor, if you'd like to. So we don't need to, at this point, I think we're going to be addressing that other item. So my suggestion would be 19 and 20 over lunch, return at whatever date, whatever time the board wants to set for 21, and we'll do it in here.
Okay, that's...
I say make him wait till 4 or 5 o'clock.
He's already been here since 9.
Let's give us an hour. So let's be back here at 1:15.
Yeah. Why don't we just right next door? Rotary meets there. Yeah. Oh, God. Good luck.
I don't know why he's here.